Hello everyone and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2. We're here for the Austria Round 2 of Season number 10 here in Tier 2, and the newbie referee is around at Turn 1 unfortunately, but it's one-shot qualifying, remember, as we do have a sprint week today. So we have one-shot qualifying, then a sprint race, then the main race. Instead of a short qualifying session. So here we go. RJ Blair currently on pole position though, in the Alpine with no racing line. Aces versus Kings and MCL battling as well for that pole. The defending champion Lawrence up there in P4 right now, as Jack Alaco, the championship leader, all the way down in P11. Not a great showing for him so far, as RJ comes around Sector 2 and into the final sector now. The last two corners of the track. Can he take an unprecedented pole position here in Tier 2? Round the final corner comes RJ. It's looking pretty good. A little bit squirrely on the exit, but has he done enough? Yes, he has, by just under a tenth from MCL. RJ takes pole position in spectacular fashion in the Alpine. Jack Alaco down in P13 after DNFing from the session, must have invalidated, but it's RJ Blair who takes pole with the two Hasses in P2 and P3 respectively. Mr. J-Man right up there for McLaren as well. So it's RJ on pole position with MCL just alongside him on the front row. Aces versus Kings and Mr. J-Man just 4 thousandths apart, and then JB and Lawrence just 3 thousandths apart on the third row. Alex G in P7 with Robsu only 14 thousandths behind him, and then Sumo, Krauser and Lucasro, the last of the competitive times, and 3 thousandths between Krauser and Lucasro as well. Ferrari managed to complete the lap after a spin, but down in P12, and Jack Alaco unable to set a lap time. So, as we get ready for the sprint race, it's going to be 12 laps of racing. I do get word that it will be a wet sprint. It looks dry at the moment, but on the grapevine, we're hearing that it will get wet at some point, I'm assuming. So this could be a pretty interesting sprint race. You don't usually see a pit stop in the sprint, but with this potential changeable weather, we might see some interesting decisions be made. So, championship leader down in last place to start the sprint race, Jack Alaco, who won in Imola last week to take the championship lead in round 1. He's got a lot of work to do from the back of the grid in this sprint to get himself into a better position for the main race. Most drivers starting on the mediums except for Jacko, JB and Lawrence. The defending champ and the championship leader both starting on softs, as well as JB in P5. So we'll see how that goes for them. Everyone else on the mediums at the moment. The softs really aren't too bad around here. They're a lot better than a lot of drivers think. So it'd be really interesting to see how those three do. But everyone else on equal ground, including RJ, who's going to be raring to go on those medium tyres. To try and make the most of this pole position, which I doubt he would have been expecting, to be honest. It's a great showing from RJ there, and hopefully he can back it up in the race. He was very, very good in Elite on Sunday, just got really unlucky early on in that race, but in the sprint he accidentally started on the hard tyres, but he was keeping up with drivers around him on mediums and softs, so very, very strong driver, and I did see that you're in the lobby, Lupper, so just let me know as soon as possible after the sprint whether it lets you take control of the car or not. So keep that in mind, and we'll reset if you can't take control of anything. But anyway, we're about to get going here. I'm going to put position change on the screen. I don't know why we've got this horrible camera angle, but here we go. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And if you give the game a moment, we're underway for the Austrian sprint race. It's a good start from RJ from pole position. MCL not able to draw alongside. Does he brake late for turn 1? No, he doesn't. And RJ sweeps around and keeps the lead of the race. JB getting up to P4 in the meantime as Lawrence loses a position. Mr. J-Man trying to make progress as well, trying to retake that position from JB. It's 2 by 2 down towards turn 3, and JB has overcooked it. Nearly contact further back. I think he's just about managed to get away with that as the AlphaTauri driver, and he's ahead of Mr. J-Man even after all of that. Lawrence, the defending champ, trying to get a look in at turn 4. A lot of people braking late for turn 4, but somehow everyone through cleanly. A little bit of argy-bargy between Alex G and Krauser further back. Down the pack as they go through turn 6, and Krauser down the inside and makes the move on the Mercedes driver. A poor start for Alex and Robsu, respectively, down 2 places on the first lap as Alex tries to make a move on Krauser but can't do it into the penultimate corner. He's going to have to wait, but a very clean start to this sprint race from Tier 2, so very nicely done. Alex very wide on the final corner, and that could give Robsu an opportunity down towards turn 1. He looks to the inside, but surely not going to send it there, and does in fact back out of that as that Sumo round at turn 1. No, Sumo, what a disaster for him to start off his sprint race. He's going to be cursing in that cockpit as Jack Alacco already up to P10 after the first lap as a result of that. And the championship leader looking to fight his way through the pack. Another one who's made a good start is Krauser, up 3 spots as Lawrence now down the inside of Mr. J-Man into turn 4, and he's up to the top 5 after starting P6. Mr. J-Man down 2 positions already, so not a good start for him. But Krauser and Jacko will be happy with how their first couple of laps have gone as Krauser tries to keep up with the pack ahead of him. But it's still RJ in the lead of this sprint race from MCL. 7.5 tenths he has at the moment, which is more than enough to defend from a DRS pass, as DRS now gets enabled on the start of lap 3. So MCL will have it down towards the third corner of the circuit as Rafferrari, the newbie, no, he's round and he's gone into the pit lane to replace a front wing. Disastrous start to his APPF1 career, and we have a VSC as a result of that. But that's such a shame for him. You never ever want to see that on a driver's debut, for them to end up in the wall. So hopefully he can have a better time of it in the main race, but it has not gone well. It's the top 8 who score points in the sprint race, the same as the F1 point system, at least for the sprints in APPF1. 8 for the winner, and then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 down to 8th place, and then everyone else scores 0, but it does still decide the grid as we get back underway again. Green flags as it's RJ who leads from MCL still, but MCL within the DRS range. That is the crucial range he needs to be in, within 1 second of the Alpine driver as they go through the final corner. The Spanish driver really looking for this win here today after missing out in Imola. After fighting with Lapa all the time for the race win, Jacko just slowly crept up to them and made some great moves and took the race lead and never looked back. So he'll be looking for a bit of redemption for that today as he chases after the American driver in the Alpine. 3 tenths is the gap, but he's not quite close enough to make a move. RJ down to about 55% ERS, but still got plenty to defend with for now. And JB's also having a great race so far, great sprint race so far. He's up to P4. and looks set there at the moment. 8/10 is the gap to Aces, but he's keeping up just about as Mr. J-Man's round in the background just about manages to keep it out the wall, but he's down to P11 and well out of the points, as that's another place for Jack Alacco and Krauser, as Jacko now into 9th place, and one more spot and he'll be back in the points, at least for the sprint race. And of course every spot counts when it decides the grid for the main race as well. But Mr. J-Man will be gutted with that one, as he was driving pretty well even with the poor start. But here comes Aces on his Haas teammate round the outside by the looks of it of MCL, but MCL looks to the inside of RJ, nearly makes it 3 wide into turn 3. That could have been an absolute disaster, but they just about gotten away with it, as Aces clears his teammate up to P2 and is now looking for the move on RJ for the race lead. Round the outside, breaks very, very late compared to the American, but it looks like they've both made their way around. RJ keeps the inside line, but it's going to be the inside for Aces for the next corner. Can RJ sweep all the way around the outside? Yes, he can. Great driving between the two of them, but it's RJ who keeps the lead for now under intense pressure from both of these Haas drivers. MCL saving all the ERS for now, as is Lawrence, who's gotten his way past JB in the meantime, and the defending champ looking to challenge the top 3 with a lot of ERS in the bank compared to RJ and Aces. And talking of Aces, he is getting rinsed by his teammate down towards turn 1. MCL takes the inside line and takes the place as well, as he now chases after the Alpine of RJ Blair. Here they go down towards turn 3. Can any moves be made in towards this corner? Not at the moment. Does anyone brake too late? Very, very easy to do, but everyone seems fine for now, as these top 5 have streaked away from the rest. Krauser currently leading a train of his own, with Alex and Jacko behind. Jacko up to P8, by the way. He's gotten past Robsu while we were watching all of that, and just ahead of him, Alex goes for the move on the inside of Krauser and predictably gets his nose cut off there on the apex. I don't think there was really anything in that, just an ambitious move from Alex, and Jacko takes full advantage, the experienced Scottish driver, up to P7, as he now chases Krauser for P6 in this sprint race after starting from dead last. It's been a great performance so far from the championship leader. But we're on to lap 7 of 12. It doesn't look like this rain is coming. Only 6 laps to go in the sprint race. We're about halfway through, as MCL now has the DRS again on RJ, but just can't really do anything against the American for now. Doesn't send it into turn 3 by the looks of it. Stays behind. Brakes late, but not too late, and sticks behind the Alpine for now. Is there going to be a move into turn 4, as Jack Alacco does make that move on Krauser in towards turn 3, and he's up to P6, a long way to the rest of the field, so I think that is where he may well stay, but it's still a fantastic recovery from the Scottish driver. Back up into the top 6, and now he's just got to keep it from those drivers that want those points behind him. Krauser, Robsu and Alex fighting for the last remaining points, as well as Jacko, of course, unless he manages to streak away from them on pure pace. But with the DRS, it'll make it a little bit difficult for him. No, just as I was praising him, Jack Alacco's around. I've cursed him. I have well and truly cursed him. He's down to P10 after all of that progress. He has just undone it in the final sector of lap 7, and he all the way down, back out the points again, and 5 seconds up the road to Mr. J-Man. He has not had a good time, and neither has Luke Esro. It's been a terrible time for our season rookies today. Rafferrari and Luke Esro down in P12 and 13 at the moment, as there's contact further up the grid. Alex G into the back of Krauser, and RJ and MCL fighting it out for the race lead. MCL round the outside of turn 4, and he makes the move into the lead of the sprint race here in Austria. RJ going to be able to fight back with the DRS, but he's got to nail these last few corners of the lap to stay with the Haas driver. MCL very wide there on the exit. That surely will have been a warning for track limits, as RJ through the penultimate corner Looks pretty set, pretty good from the American driver. Yellow flags further back again. That's Mr. J-Man round again. There's lots of drivers making mistakes here in Austria. There seems to be a real struggle for the drivers to keep it on the circuit at the moment, as here comes RJ back down the inside for the sprint race lead, and he retakes it down towards turn 3, but they're going to stay side by side. MCL brakes late. I don't know who's going to have the DRS, but RJ makes a mistake on the exit, loses the rear, and MCL does have the DRS, but he's just not quite close enough. But he sees now RJ is vulnerable. He has no ERS left on that Alpine. They're going to go side by side through turn 4. MCL's got the inside for turn 6. Can he keep that move in? Can he keep his foot in? RJ turns in and there's contact, and RJ's into the gravel. He's going to be fuming with that one, but I don't think there was really anything in that from my perspective straight away, and he's into the wall. RJ, no, he's out of the sprint race after all of that. We've got a VSC, but he is going to be absolutely furious. That promotes Jack Alaco back into the points, into P8, by the way. But what a disaster for RJ. Lawrence into the pits, meanwhile, for fresh tyres, as well as JB. I don't know why. Krauser in as well. Do they think the rain is coming, I wonder? Is it going to be intermediates? Let's find out. No, it's a set of fresh, soft tyres. Did they think it is a full safety car? Oh, okay, that's why. It's a full safety car. It still says virtual safety car on my screen, in my defence. But they have come in for fresh tyres. Jack Alaco stayed out on 9-lap-old softs. Lawrence is going to be a huge threat now for the sprint race victory. He's in P4 with fresh softs compared to the top 3 on old mediums. JB and Alex have come out well behind, as has Krauser. JB's got to clear Sumo and J-Man to get involved, and Jack Alaco, actually. But the top 3, 9-lap-old medium safety car in this lap, of course, because we always get 2 laps of green flag racing. Lawrence has caught up to the pack, but I think the likes of Alex and Krauser and Luke Esro are going to be out of luck here, unfortunately. They're not going to be able to catch back up. Alex might well do it. Krauser's going to be very close, but I think the rest are out of luck here. So here we go. MCL leading the pack in the final sector. He chooses when to punch it. Whenever that safety car comes into the pit lane, he can go. It's a Haas 1-2 right now, and they'll be looking to keep it that way. Very interesting sprint, as Lupper says in the chat, as MCL's gone out the final corner, loses the rear, but somehow manages to stay with a decent gap to Aces. And now Robsu looking to take full advantage. Down the inside goes the Red Bull into turn 1. They're going to be side by side through the corner. Aces a little bit squirrely on the exit, but here comes Lawrence on the fresh soft tyres, going to make a double overtake, or try to, as he goes down towards turn 3 now. He's going to try and go around the outside of Robsu and Aces. Aces going to brake very late. There's a bit of contact between them. Aces loses the rear, so does Lawrence, but they've just about made it through. And now Lawrence is going to look for the outside of Robsu down towards turn 4. Can he use the superior grip of those softs to swing all the way around the outside? That's what he's going to try to do, and he's done it. What a move from Lawrence. He's up to P2. That's why he's the defending champion, and MCL is going to be very, very worried now to see that Aston Martin with fresh tyres just 1 second behind him. Robsu's up there in P3 as well. Can JB, Alex and Krauser make their way through the pack? Krauser's actually lost time, so he's not going to be able to, but they've got 1 lap to do it as we go on to the final lap of the sprint race. JB right behind. He's going to have so much more grip than the cars ahead of him, but can he make use of it? As they go down towards the final lap now, Krauser sets the fastest lap. It doesn't matter, it doesn't get you an extra point in the sprint. But look at this, Lawrence right behind the Haas, no DRS of course. MCL using that overtake button, Lawrence waiting until the right time. He's going to have so much more grip than the Haas driver as Aces goes for a send on Robsu into turn 3. Down the inside he goes. Robsu loses the rear on exit, which causes all sorts of problems behind. Jack Alaco's down to P6, JB's up to P5, but we've got to focus on the front because Lawrence is going down the inside for the lead of the sprint race. What a brilliant race he has sprint race he has pulled off today down the inside of turn 4, and he's made those fresh tyres work. He's surely going to win the sprint race now as they go through the final few corners. Ace is holding on to P3, Robsu holding on to P4, Alex down the inside of the Red Bull, or JB, I'm not sure who it was, but Alex up to P5. He looks to the inside of the penultimate corner as well, but surely can't send it there. And Lawrence round the final corner, he wins the sprint race in Austria. What a brilliant performance from him. The MCL in P2, Aces makes it a Haas 2-3 with Robsu in P4 managing to hold on with those tyres. Jack Alaco couldn't. He's down to P7 and only scores 2 points. Krauser right behind him. There was a drag race to the line between the two by the looks of it. JB in P6 in the end, and Alex making use of those tyres up to P5, but Lawrence, the defending champion driver of the sprint race for sure, and he takes all 8 points and pole position going into the main race. Whew, breakneck sprint race, that one. So it is Lawrence who takes the win in the sprint race. MCL in P2 with Aces in P3. Robsu and Alex make up the rest of the top 5 with JB down in P6 in the end, which I think he'll be disappointed with after all of that. Jacko manages to finish P7 after starting in last place, and Krauser gets the final point in P8. Sumo, Mr. J-Man, Lucas Rowe, Rafferrari and RJ make up the rest of the grid for the main race. RJ is going to be gutted with that one, but I'm sure he'll bounce back for the main race. Rafferrari and Lucas Rowe have got a lot of work to do, unfortunately. Not a good day for the season newbies so far, but 36 laps to go, of course. Right, so let's have a look at the weather. Lupper, tell me, are you in? Are you able to get in? I'm just waiting for Sumo to show me his race strategy screen on his stream. Okay, heavy rain throughout by the look of it. So if we have to reset, that's what it'll be. And weather point of view. Oh, no, we're all good. Lupper is in, and we'll be starting from the back of the grid. So here we go for the formation lap. The one thing I haven't done, by the way, so far today, everyone on the Inters, by the way. Hello to Louis in the chat, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. And that is certainly rain. It's looking like light rain, though, everyone on the Inters. But let's have a look. Rafferrari's helmet. Because I haven't done a helmet review on the newbies yet. That could be a disqualification from the formation lap, though, and it is for both him and Luke Castro. So not ideal, not an ideal start for either of them, especially after that unfortunate sprint race that they had. But it is Lawrence on pole position. Rafferrari's helmet, I mean, it was certainly blue. I'll give it that. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. But hello to Aldo Fahati in the chat. I've probably completely butchered your name, but welcome in. Welcome to APP Tier 2. Yeah, Lawrence, after his brilliant performance in the sprint race, is going to be starting this on pole position. He's got it all to do with MCL and Aces right behind him. The two Hasses who look very, very strong this season. Jack Alacco lurking in P7 as well. The championship leader is going to be looking for a better finish than where he's starting this race. Mr. J-Man as well, and RJ was very strong, and of course Lapper at the back of the grid as well. Keep an eye on him. But here we go, as all the drivers line up on the grid, ready for the Austrian Grand Prix. Here we go. 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Austrian Grand Prix. It's a great start from Lawrence from pole position. He's already clear of MCL going down into turn 1. Is there going to be chaos into the first corner? There's a McLaren going far too deep. And yeah, Mr. J-Man has just taken out a few drivers there into turn 1. Misjudged that horribly into the first corner. But they all pile down towards turn 3. It doesn't look like any harm has been done, but that's a Mercedes, and he's come straight into the Red Bull. Jack, who was that? I think it was Sumo's just taken out half the grid. We've got a virtual safety car, unsurprisingly, but Sumo just pile drives into the Red Bull of Robsu, who's got no front wing. Oh no. Oh no, Jack Alacco, Mr. J-Man, all with no front wing. JB having to let people through thanks to the game, I think, giving him illegal overtakes for some reason. Sumo has committed an actual war crime. Oh no. LB says Sumo is innocent. Oh no, Sumo. Lucas Rowe looks okay in the meantime. Ferrari, by the way, up to P6 after a disastrous debut in the sprint race. Up to P6 in the main race, so great start for him in this one. As Robsu, Jack Alacco, Mr. J-Man, Sumo himself, no doubt, all into the pits for new front wings. As this VSC continues, that promotes Lappa up to P9, Lucas Rowe up to P10 as well in the Ferrari. But what a disaster. 4 drivers taken out in the early stages as Lawrence and MCL side by side into turn 3 as we get back under green flags. JB getting past Ferrari, catching the Williams driver out there at the restart, but going very deep, and oh no, disaster. JB's out of the race, and Ferrari, there was nothing he could do about that. The game teleported it back onto the track. Absolutely nothing that he could have done about that. That is so desperately unlucky. But JB out of the race in this early stage. It's a VSC. Krauser gets himself a 5-second penalty somehow as well under the VSC. But absolute chaos at the start of this Austrian Grand Prix. Ferrari, the most unlucky one of them all here in the Williams, as he's back behind the Ferrari of Lucastro, but I think he might have gone away without damage. Certainly no visible damage on that Williams. Sumo's day goes from bad to worse as he gets a drive-through penalty. Ferrari, for some reason, looking to overtake Lucastro under the VSC. That's definitely not going to happen. But they go through the final corner now, and well, JB out of this race, and it was all him and MCL. MCL spun under the VSC. Sumo's got himself another drive through somehow, but MCL down to P9 after spinning under the VSC. I don't know if there was contact. There may well have been, because it was before the braking zone. And it's a disaster for MCL. And if it was contact, it was probably his teammate, because Aces was the only car behind him. Here comes Krauser on the back of Alex, down the inside into turn 4. Can he make this move stick? There's a bit of contact. Alex onto the gravel, but Krauser up ahead into P3. Last time we were here in Austria for Tier 2, Krauser started on the back of the grid and was already up into the lead train straight away. off the bat, and he was fighting for the title as well. It was a fantastic drive from him, and here he is up to P3 again. But yeah, I think Louis in the chat might be right that this could be a game of survival, as Lawrence is already 2.5 seconds clear of Aces and sets the fastest lap at the front of the grid, but Aces sets it just behind him as well. But of course, we haven't really driven a whole lap of green flags yet, so I think that fastest lap is going to be traded all the way down the grid, and yeah, that's exactly what's happening as MCL now chases after the Williams of Rafferrari. Through turn one he goes, but very, very deep. I wonder if there's damage to that Haas that we can't see. Rafferrari looks okay for now. He doesn't seem like he's understeering. But Robson now with the fastest lap, of course, at the back on those fresh tyres. But Lawrence leads this Grand Prix by 2.3 seconds from Aces. LB saying he's awful in the wet. Well, we will see about that. But Aces is catching him at the moment in that Haas, and I suspect that the stewards will be fairly busy after this one. Unfortunately, but it's Austria, it's tier 2. We've got troublesome conditions, and yeah, it's not really surprising. Sumo into the pits for his drive-through. He's going to end up getting lapped pretty soon, unfortunately. Rafferrari out of the race. Oh no, on his debut race, he is out of the Austrian Grand Prix, into the wall. MCL gets the place as a result and heads into the pits as well. We do have a safety car, thanks to that, a full safety car this time. I think long overdue, given everything that's happened so far. But Jack Alaco and everyone who was involved in that incident at the start, Sumo included, going to be back in the race unless Sumo... No, he doesn't still have a drive-through to serve. So he will be back in the race as well. Once he catches back up to the pack. But 2 DNFs already. We're only on lap 5, sorry. It's not been a good start to this Grand Prix at all, but Lawrence will be fairly happy with how it's gone. But MCL, Jack Alaco, Robsu, Mr. J-Man, Rafferrari and JB, all the big losers there in that race. At the start of this race, Rafferrari getting unlucky twice. I don't know what happened for his DNF, whether it was contact or he binned it himself, but certainly very, very unlucky with the spin of JB early on. He was just alongside him, or just behind him, and JB lost the rear. Nothing that the debutant could do, and he's going to hope for a better race next week. Not the best start to his APPF1 career. Sumo's retired from the race as well. He's had enough already. And we're down to 11 with 31 laps to go. But Krauser also into the pits, interestingly, and it's a new front wing and a 5-second penalty being served. So probably a smart move from the British driver. As he comes in, and he will exit, I think, just behind MCL. It'll be close. He's just coming out the pits now. I don't know if he'll be behind Robsu as well. I think he'll just be behind MCL. Yeah, P9 for Krauser as he exits, but still plenty of this race to go. And it looks like this light rain will go on all race long. So there won't be any dry conditions for the drivers. It's just going to be rain all the way through. Thinking half the grid make it across the line or more. I think a few more than half the grid will make it across. I think we'll have 2 more DNFs probably, but maybe even just 1 more. But I think we've gotten past the initial carnage. And now we're now I think it's going to be a little bit more reasonable for the rest of the race. I'm hoping anyway, fingers crossed. But looks like everyone's caught back up to the pack. Safety car should be in this lap. Here we are. Is the safety car going to come in this lap? It looks like it's staying out, at least for now. Unless I missed... No, I must have missed the notification that it's coming in. So here we go. Safety car back into the pits. Lawrence will lead the pack. Everyone from 7th downwards has already pitted in this race, but of course there's no mandatory pit stop in the wet, and Lawrence has gone very early and he's caught Aces napping, 9/10 ahead of the Haas driver already. Great restart from the defending champion, and he leads by just over a second going into turn 1. But Aces clawing that back through the corner, but it looks like everyone else has gotten off cleanly as well. Here comes Lupper, though, in the Red Bull. Started from last place and looking like he's going to get up to P5. MCL looking down the inside of the Ferrari as well for turn 3, hitting Lupper on the inside as they hit the apex. Lucas Rowe trying his best here to cope with the drivers behind, and Krause is looking to make a move as well. Lucas Rowe could lose 3 places in 2 corners here. It looks like that's exactly what's happened. That's really unfortunate for the Ferrari driver, but there's just nothing he could do against the pure pace of those drivers behind him. As RJ, by the way, up to P3. He started this race in 13th and now already up into the top 3. What a drive it's turning out to be for him so far. After getting so unlucky in the sprint race, he has a point to prove as he continues on his way, 1.5 seconds behind Aces at the moment for P2 as the fastest laps get traded down the grid. But RJ looking perhaps for a podium here. Here in Austria, I don't think he's had a podium in Tier 2 yet, as Mr. J-Man now gets a 3-second time penalty, and he's... oh no, and he's beached! He's beached at turn 1! You can reset, J-Man, you can reset! Do it! Do it! You can reset! There's new rules, you can reset now if you're beached, but MCL ran the outside of Lupper. These two, they were fighting all race long in Imola, and they're going to continue to fight. Here, Mr. J-Man's been disqualified. No, he didn't know. He doesn't know about the rule about being able to reset if you're beached, and he is out of this race. So he's our 4th retirement of the day as Krause gets past Lupper as well, who makes a mistake out of turn 4, and it's P6 for the British driver as Lupper going backwards a bit now in that Red Bull and going backwards a bit more. What was that? Very slow through turn 7, but I don't know if there's damage to that Red Bull. Do I hear 5, says Louis in the chat. As Lupper, another big moment of oversteer through the penultimate corner and very deep at the final corner as well. Really struggling in these conditions, and Lucas Rowe's going to try and take advantage. Down the inside of the Red Bull he goes into turn 1, and Lucas Rowe takes P7 back from the Red Bull driver who overtook him a few laps ago. Alex off the road in the meantime on the approach to turn 3. I don't know how he's managed that into the gravel. Must have been some argy-bargy going on or something, but he's managed to recover it. But down to P9 he goes as Ace is now putting the pressure on the defending champion into turn 4. They are right together. RJ has lost 6/10 to Aces since we last checked. And Lawrence under a lot of pressure now from this Haas driver, who's looking for his second win in APP Tier 2 since he joined full-time last season. Here he goes, just behind this Aston Martin. Can he make this move into the penultimate corner? Perhaps Lawrence going pretty deep, but Aces can't really make a move into there, and has to back out from that one. Let's look at the ERS situation. Lawrence has plenty, so does Aces, but of course they would in these wet conditions. MCL now setting the fastest lap, and he's right behind RJ again. These two came to blows in the sprint race, so RJ's not going to be happy to see this man behind him again, but he's only 1.5 seconds behind the top two, thanks to the battling that's going on as Lupper loses another place. I wonder if there's damage to this Red Bull. He's really struggling right now. He's down to P8 after looking so strong just a few moments ago. And MCL, by the way, is ahead of RJ. Ace is looking to the inside of Lawrence at the same time. Can't quite keep up with everything that's happening as Robsu down the inside of Lucasro for P6. Lupper trying to take advantage for the switchback on both of them on the exit, but in the wet conditions that is almost impossible. And Robsu takes P6 for the Finnish Red Bull team. But Lucasro competitive at the moment with those two Red Bulls as Lupper looks to try and retake that place. The Ferrari goes wide. Aces gets ahead of Lawrence into the penultimate corner in the meantime and takes the race lead on lap 11. MCL is right there as well, looking to try and make it a Haas 1-2. He sets the fastest lap too. RJ's involved, so is Krauser, just about on the edge of this battle. But I think the two Haasses, the fastest drivers on track at the moment, as MCL looks to try and make a move on Lawrence down towards turn 3. He uses that ERS. Lawrence defends to the inside. MCL brakes late, but not as late as Lawrence in the end. And Lawrence takes the inside line and keeps the place for now as MCL just gets the throttle on the exit. We've got places changing all over the place in the meantime. Jack Alacco and Alex fighting over P7. Lupper as well. Robsu's down to P9. I don't know how that happened. He's lost 4 places. But as they go down towards the next corner, Lucasro as well is down to P10. No idea what's happened between Robsu and Lucasro, but they've lost a ton of places each. And Lucasro is going to have to fight his way back into this one, as is Robsu, as Jack Alacco battles with Alex through Sector 2. Can't quite make the move, though, as he's going to have to stick behind for now. Lupper is 6 seconds behind the leading pack. Disastrous for him as it stands. He just hasn't been able to get a grip in these conditions at the moment. Mr. J-Man says he's sorry for the poor display. That's okay. It happens to the best of us, Mr. J-Man. But yeah, as long, being magnanimous is makes it a lot easier for other drivers to take. So respect to you. But you'll be back, I'm sure, as Jack Alacco again looks for a move on Alex, but can't quite make it work. Yeah, now I remember. Yeah, you brake too late into turn 1. That's fine. It happens. But yeah, here we go. Through the middle sector go this top 5 group. MCL sticking with Lawrence and Aces for now, but he wasn't able to make that move stick on the defending champion. RJ's in this battle. Krauser's in this battle as well at the back. He'll be getting a bit of deja vu from the last time we raced here in Austria in Tier 2, as he was on the back of the long DRS train at the front. Of course, no DRS today, but similar principle, as he's just on the back of them. But Lawrence here under pressure from MCL into turn 1, but the Haas driver backs out to get a better exit out of the first corner, and down the inside he goes. Lawrence trying his best to stay with the Spanish driver as they head down towards turn 3. Lawrence has got the outside line. They're going to be side by side into turn 3. Lawrence goes very deep though, brakes far too late, and MCL gets his way ahead. RJ now looking for a move on Lawrence as he goes down the inside. Look at this from the American. He's up to P P3 as he sends it down the inside into turn 4, and it looks like he's going to make that move stick. Great stuff from RJ, and Aces now leads this race by 1.5 seconds as we hit about a third of the way through mark. But this battle just heating up for these podium positions, but Aces has a big lead right now, and he's going to hope that MCL doesn't have the pace to catch him, but we shall see as we head through the final 2 corners of lap 14. A bit wide there from Lawrence at the penultimate corner. Krauser could be able to take advantage of that, but not quite, down towards turn 1. But these 4 still close, but RJ now is going to struggle, I feel, to stay with MCL, although it looks like MCL is catching Aces at a rate of knots. So once he starts battling with his teammate, if he does start battling, the rest of them will be able to get a look in once again. As Lupper very much in a race of his own at the moment now, 6 seconds behind the rest, and nearly 2 seconds ahead of Jacko as he heads through turn 3, but a little mistake there through turn 3 by the looks of it. As Jacko fights off Alex for P7. The championship leader struggling at the moment. Doesn't look like he will stay the championship leader after this race at the moment, but of course, not even halfway through yet of a wet race in Austria. Anything can still happen. I think Lucastro might well have had damage because he did pit. I didn't see if he changed his front wing, but I think he and Robsu came to terms, and that's why they both went down to the back of the grid, unfortunately. But he's soldiering on, credit to him. You still get plenty of points. It's not just a 1 point for finishing P10 in APPF1. You get plenty of points. As long as you're in the top 15, you get points in this league. Alex into the pits, though, for a fresh set of the intermediate tyres. Sumo, such a shame, had some really great practice too. It is a huge shame, Sumo. You did have good pace in practice, I heard. But yeah, these things happen. Don't worry too much about it. By the way, Lucastro setting the fastest lap, and RJ's round again in turn 3 this time. I don't know if there was contact, but he was behind MCL this time. And he is round. Down to P7 goes the American, and he's going to have to fight back up through the grid once again. But he's got Jackalacco and Lupper right ahead of him, so plenty of battling he can still do. Jackalacco, by the way, is caught back up to Lupper, who was nearly 2 seconds behind last lap. Now, right behind the Red Bull driver. So we'll see what he can do as they head through into the final sector now of lap 16. MCL, meanwhile, catching up to his teammate within a second now, and Krauser getting past Lawrence while all that was happening, into P3 for the British driver, looking for his first podium for a good little while now. Which would be great to see. And Jacko down the inside of Lupper. He's looking to make this move. RJ looking to make it 3 wide into turn 1. Very sensibly backs out of that. Jacko breaks early for turn 1 and turns in late to give Lupper the room, but as such can't make the move, and as such it's now vulnerable to the American. RJ round the outside of the Scottish driver, but very deep on the exit, just about keeps it together. Lupper very deep in the background as well, as RJ looks to the inside now to get P5 back at least from this race as he sends it down the inside, but Lupper has the momentum, but he loses the rears, locks the rears in the braking zone. Could invite RJ back through. Lupper struggling for rear traction all over the track at the moment. RJ trying to go around the outside, can't quite do it. He's going to stay there as they go through turns 6 and 7. Surely not around the outside here. He goes a little bit deep, gets himself a 3-second time penalty, but he's still side by side as they head down towards the penultimate corner. Brilliant battling between these two. But I think RJ is going to head into the pits. Yes, he is. Looking for a little bit of an undercut here. By a lap. It looks like Aces and MCL have swapped positions in the meantime. MCL into the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. Getting past his teammate down towards turn 3, and well, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't look back now. Krauser gets himself a track limits penalty in the meantime, and that is going to be a difficult one to take in the face of a possible podium here, as Jacko and Luppa still fighting over P5 in the meantime. Jacko very, very deep at turn 3 and just about keeps it together, but he's still going to look to the inside of Luppa on the exit down towards turn 4. Anyway, Luppa locks the rears again into turn 4, and Jack Alacco finds his way through. It's great racing in the midfield at the moment between all of these guys. And after the initial carnage, things have calmed down a little, and we're starting to see some really good racing. Luppa all over the road, and he's round down towards turn 7. Robsu's going to find his way through, but Luppa loses the rears, and down to P7 he goes. It could even be further down, as Lucasro is just behind, and remember, Luppa still has to pit. Lucasro's pitted already, and he's under pressure from the Mercedes of Alex right now into the penultimate corner, who's not going to make a move there, surely not. Luppa into the pits, Lawrence into the pits as well for Aston Martin. So the only ones not to pit, Jack Alacco and Robsu, but surely the top 3 will have to pit again anyways, as Alex down the inside of the Ferrari into turn 1. That's a great move from the Ukrainian, and up to P7 he goes, with RJ looking behind them as well. That undercut is massive by the looks of it, because Lucasro and Alex ahead of the Alpine driver despite everything. Lucasro, though, trying to make a move on Alex, who brakes very, very late, but still gets it stopped for turn 3, and that's a very good defence from the Mercedes driver there. Ace is still sticking with his teammate for now, but MCL is into the pits, and that's going to be a tough one for Aces. We've seen now how powerful the undercut is, so MCL should be able to take a very hefty lead once Aces comes in for his stop, presumably on the next lap. Lawrence, though, up to P5 and continuing his charge up the field, a little bit squirrely on the exit of the last corner, but through he goes down towards turn 1 anyways. MCL coming out the pits, he's well ahead of Lawrence actually. That's a big surprise. Lucasro the next to get a track limits penalty, but Lawrence some 4 seconds down the road from MCL. That is a shock. I thought he'd be ahead of the Haas driver, never mind 4 seconds behind him. So obviously not an ideal couple of outlaps for the defending champ as he heads through turn 3, with Robsu 2.5 seconds behind him. So clear air for Lawrence at least, and an opportunity here to get some decent laps in. Lucasro sticking with RJ for now as they head towards turn 4. Not able to make a move, of course. RJ will be looking for a move on Alex for P6 as he tries to recover from that spin earlier on. And Alex is looking for a recovery drive as well. By the way, his helmet is a 10 out of 10. That is a beautiful helmet on Alex G. 10 out of 10. I do not give that grade very often. But Krauser now into the pits for fresh intermediate tyres. Ace is staying out again. Is he going to try and go the full distance here, I wonder? There's still 16 laps to go, and MCL's only 16 seconds behind. So it's going to be a big slog for Aces here to go all the way on these tyres, but he might well try it. He's the sort of driver to try that sort of thing, as Lawrence up into the top 3 after Krauser's pit stop. As Luppa now setting the fastest lap on those fresh tyres. RJ and Alex fighting for P6 in the meantime. The American driver down the inside leaves enough room, and that's a great move from RJ up into the top 6. Robsu, his next target, just ahead. And RJ continuing to make good progress up the field here today. Alex a little bit squirrely on the exit, but RJ seems planted to the ground. He is performing very well today. He's just been so unlucky so far, as here he goes on Robsu looking for this move on the exit of turn 7. What a move this would be. He's going to have the outside for the penultimate corner. Surely he's not going to be able to keep this up. He goes around the outside. There's a bit of contact as he turns in, a bit more contact, but he's made the move stick on those fresher intermediates. Robsu 19 lap hold inters, and Alex is going to look to follow RJ down towards turn 1, but what a brave overtake from RJ there. But that's just what you expect from him if you you watch him racing for long enough. A bit of contact as Alex and Robsu go through, but I don't think there was much in that one, as Lappa is the next one to get a track limits penalty. He's down in P10. He is having an absolute disaster of a race so far there, unfortunately for him. Meanwhile, Aces continues to lead this race. I think he is going to try and go the full way here, but MCL's already caught him by 5 seconds. So he's surely made the wrong decision, but he's still staying out in that Haas. Still keeping it going. And I think he is committed now. Lap 23 of 36. About 2/3 of the way through this race nearly. And Aces committing to staying out the whole race. MCL, though, only 10 seconds behind already, and that's going to come down to, I would imagine, 7 seconds by the end of this lap alone. Those old Inters just not at all able to compete with the fresh intermediates behind them. Robsu also looks like he's committing to staying out. He's on 21 lap old Inters after pitting on lap 1 after the carnage at turn 3. But he's looking alright at the moment, but he'll be very shaky compared to the cars behind in the next few laps. As Jackalacco, another driver looking to recover here. Down in P9 at the moment, but looking for a move on the Ferrari, has the better grip on the exit of turn 3 and uses the ERS to good effect, and he's ahead before turn 4. Up to P8 for the Scottish driver, the current championship leader, as he continues his recovery up the grid. I can feasibly see him finishing P5 here. RJ has a penalty. Alex and Robsu aren't that far up the road. Robsu right in front of him, in fact. And Jacko, we know how much pace he's got when he's on it. So I can feasibly see P5 here for Jacko. P6 at worst, I would have thought. But he's still got to make those moves. And the Red Bull is right ahead of him. He's going to look for a good exit out of turn 1 here. Here they go into the braking zone, braking a little bit later compared to the Red Bull, but no harm done. Maybe a little tap from behind would Robsu have gotten, but here comes Jacko using that ERS. He goes for the outside line for turn 3. Robsu using the ERS as well, but Jacko brakes much later than the Red Bull, sweeps around the outside, has the better grip on the exit, and he's up to P7. Great move from the Scotsman. And now Lucas Rowe looking to follow him through around the outside of turn 4. It's going to be for the Ferrari driver from Italy, as they go side by side, him and Robsu through turn 4, but Robsu keeps the line, and that's great racing between the two. Robsu keeping P8 for now. Lucas Rowe going to have to try again at another place on the track. Robsu struggling now on those very old intermediate tyres. Lucas Rowe getting himself another track limits penalty. That's not going to help his cause. Backs out and looks like he's heading into the pits perhaps. No, he stays out, just backing out of the overtake, and stays in P9 for now. Who has the fastest lap right now? It is Lappa, a 1:11.8 compared to MCL's 11.9, but look where they are on the track compared to each other. Lappa in last place, MCL up there in P2 and looking for P1. He's already only 5.5 seconds behind his teammate, who is definitely committing to staying out for the whole race. It's certainly one of the decisions of all time that I've seen. I don't think it's a good one, though, from Aces. 5 seconds is the gap, and there's still 11 laps left to go at the end of this one. He is really going to struggle, and he's given up. He's into the pits. He has bailed on that commitment. He doesn't think he's going to get to the end, and that could be a very costly strategical error from Aces Into the pits he comes for fresh tyres, but Lawrence and Krauser are going to go straight through, but he's onto the mediums. He's onto the medium tyres. He thinks it's going to dry up. This is a huge call from Aces. I didn't expect this at all. I thought he was just giving up and going onto fresh inters, but no, it's slicks for Aces. He leaves the pit lane. P4 at the moment, 7.5 seconds behind the rest. Could this be a masterclass from Aces? I was just criticising him, but it could be an absolute masterclass as Krauser gets his way past the defending champion. This man is on fire today in that AlphaTauri as he's up to P2, 8.5 seconds behind MCL. But the Spanish driver in a league of his own today as Krauser up into those podium positions. But could we see an absolute blinder being played by Aces here, or could it be, is it a blinder or is it a blunder from the Haas driver as RJ is going to make his way through, much more grip on those inters? It's still not time for slicks out there, absolutely not. Ace is very, very deep at turn 8. He's realizing, I think he's realizing that it's a blunder, as Alex is going to catch him at a rate of knots now. He's going to see on his little MFD that the car ahead of him is on mediums, and he's going to think, what on earth is he doing? But that's exactly what's happening. Lucas with another time penalty. I think that's 9 seconds now for the Ferrari driver. He has not had a good time here in Austria, but he's still, as long as he gets to the end, will score plenty of points from this one. Sumo says, well, on to Singapore. I think I was just nervous or overexcited and not calm. Yeah, that's quite possible, Sumo. So don't worry about it. Come back stronger. But Krauser, by the way, catching MCL at the moment, 7.8 seconds to the Haas driver as Alex makes his way past the struggling Aces, who has thrown away what would have been an easy podium. He wanted that race win. That's what he was going for. He wanted to do a masterclass in the strategy and win this race. But it's turned into a disaster class, down to P7. And it's going to be P8, I would have thought. Lupper only 6 seconds behind. He is very, very slow right now. It's definitely still not time for slicks out there. It's getting better, but I really don't think it's time for slicks. That is for sure. Through the penultimate corner he goes. How much time is Lupper going to gain through this corner? It's going to be... yeah, it's going to be 5-6 tenths maybe through that corner, then another 5 tenths through the final corner. Aces has made a horrible blunder as Jack Alaco makes a move up to P5 on the Mercedes of Alex. 6 seconds up the road to RJ. Alex sends it down the inside though for turn 1. Jacko would not have been expecting that, but Alex makes it stick, stops the car in time, and that's a really good move from the Ukrainian driver. Brilliant stuff there. But Jacko, it's surely only a matter of time until he clears this Mercedes for good. Let's have a quick look at the penalty situation. It's 3 seconds for Krauser, RJ and Lupper, and 9 seconds for Lucas Rowe at the moment. But everyone else keeping it clean. Very well done from Tier 2. It's hard to keep it clean for track limits around here. I would know after my disastrous 6 seconds in Elite on Sunday. But these guys mostly keeping it clean so far. Robsu down to P10 at the moment. Lucas Rowe on, well, of course he is, on those 26 lap old intermediates, which I think he is just taking until it's time for slicks. Even he doesn't think it's time for slicks yet, Aces, as Lupper now is onto the back of this Haas. He's going to use that ERS and he's going to make the move down into turn 1. And there's not really anything that Aces can do about it. Down to P8 he goes. As Jack Alaco, here he goes, sizing up the move again on Alex, but can't quite do it into turn 3 this time. Alex a little bit wide on the exit though, and here comes Jacko down towards the next corner. Turn 4 it's going to be for the Aston Martin driver, looking for P5 in this race. And down the inside he goes. He's going to try and keep it together. Side by side they go. Alex is going to try and hold to the inside, but he can't quite get the exit speed. And Jacko up to P5 finally. Unless Alex can make another spectacular move. at a corner that's coming up, but it looks like Jacko has the superior pace at this point in time. Meanwhile, Krauser, 3.5 seconds ahead of Lawrence. He's looking for P2 here. It would be his first podium since, let's have a quick look. Tier 2, final standings. Let's have a quick look. Krauser did not podium last season, so it will be his first podium since, I believe that's Kota in season 8, which is some 13, 14 races ago. So it's been a brilliant performance from Krauser today so far, and he's looking to cap it off with a brilliant podium. Alex still within a second of Jacko, but that gap is dwindling away. Jacko on 4-lap younger tyres as well, which is not going to help his cause. Not going to help Alex's cause, I should say. Lucas Rowe now the next driver to clear the struggling medium-tired clad Aces versus Kings. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Robsu, even with those 28-lap-old Inters, start to reel in the Haas as well. Aces, he's committing. To be fair to him, he could have pit for the Inters. He could have thought, actually, no, this is really not working. Come in for the Inters, bailed, and tried to recover what was left. I think that's what he's doing now as he looks to the inside of the penultimate corner and spins on his way into the pits anyway. Oh, Aces. It's not been a good day for him as Robsu reacts very well to get out of the way of the Haas driver there, but Aces into the pits he goes. It's going to be the intermediates to the end. Hopefully he can get the fastest lap out of it anyway, but absolute disaster. He committed to the bit. 5 laps he did on those mediums, and he lost all of those positions down to P10. Lucas Rowe looking at P8 here despite the penalties. Robson 9.5 seconds behind. He can't do anything for pace on the Inters that he's got on. It looks like Aces could get lapped here by his teammate. It's going to be close. Aces coming out the pits now, but I think he's just about going to get away with it. Yeah, there he is, just ahead of MCL up the road. And well, he gambled, but in the end he lost, unfortunately, and from a very easy looking podium finish to P10 in this race due to one strategy blunder. That can happen. It can happen in these conditions. And Lupper looking to the inside of Alex into turn 1, right down the inside. It was a surprising move that he made there, but he's made it stick, and he's left enough room for the Mercedes on the exit as well. Great move from the Red Bull. Alex looking to try and send it down the inside in the meantime, just behind, and he does it again. He did it to Jacko earlier, but he's done it a bit too far this time. He's gone all the way off the road. Lupper's not going to be too happy about that. I think Alex will sportingly let him back through. Yeah, definitely does do that. And back down to P7 he goes, but he's just got to stay within 3 seconds now of Lupper, and he will still manage to secure P6 from this one. Robsu still committing to those 30-lap-old Inters. Aces thought it couldn't be done. Robsu does think it can be done. He's going to do 33 laps on those tyres if he makes it to the end. So we'll just keep a side eye on him and see if he gets a puncture at any point, because we'll surely be getting into that territory at some point. 3 laps to go at the end of this one in the Austrian Grand Prix. It's been a chaotic, action-packed Grand Prix with some really good racing and some not so good racing, particularly at the start. But it's certainly been entertaining. That we cannot fault it for. As Robsu continues to go 31 laps on those intermediate tyres. Coming onto his 32nd now through turn 1. He could get passed by Aces here. Aces gained 6 seconds in the last couple of laps. And yeah, I think Robsu is going to be destined for P10 here. Aces, he's got to catch 9 seconds in 3 laps, but the rate he's catching, I really think he can do it. It's the last thing he's got to fight for today, other than the fastest lap, which was he anywhere near it? 11.8. Oh, he was half a tenth off it. Very, very close. But he's got another attempt. It's not like in dry weather where once you've done one attempt for the fastest lap, you've got to recharge for a few laps before you can go again. And by then, the tyres are gone anyway, probably. So Aces will have another opportunity for that extra point. But at the moment, he's going to be looking for another extra point by overtaking Robsu. 4.5 seconds is the gap, and it's coming down very, very quickly. Robsu just looking to get these tyres to the end at this point. If I were Robsu, I would just pit. But he's committing. He's committing to the bit, to be fair to him. Aces does manage to set the fastest lap, an 11.3. He breaks that fastest lap by half a second as he catches this Red Bull now. He's caught him by 8 seconds in one lap, and the inevitable is approaching for the Finnish driver, unfortunately. Here he goes through turn 3. There's just no exit speed. Aces is through, and I think there's a puncture there. Yeah, there it is. Puncture, I think, on that Red Bull. I can't see the tyre wall on that rear left, so I think that means there's a puncture. It's hard to tell, really. The graphics don't make it all too clear, but given the way he's driving, I think definitely he is suffering from a puncture, unfortunately. So just a bit too far on those intermediate tyres, but to be fair, he's committed. He committed to the bit, and you know, you can't fault him for that. Yeah, I call 32 laps on into the bit too. Yeah, into the pits goes Robsu for some fresh tyres. It's going to be wild how much more grip he's going to have for this final lap, unless he crashes coming into the pits. Oh, that's really good control. Very nicely done from the Finnish driver to get into the pits, but not been a day to remember for him here in Austria, unfortunately. Finally, fresh tyres for the final lap, but MCL is coming through. Alex, meanwhile, gets himself a 3-second time penalty, just trying desperately to stay within 3 seconds of Lappa, and that is going to be his bid for P6 over. And not really any other battles happening now on the track. Lucas Rowe, has he run out of fuel here? He's going very, very slow. Has he got a puncture as well? He does, but he's only done 21 laps on the Inters. How come he's got a puncture and Robsu does it, and Robsu didn't for another 10 laps? That's desperately unlucky, I have to say, for the Ferrari driver. That's really, really unfortunate. But he's going to have to come in for fresh tyres, and that's going to be a point down the drain for him, unfortunately. Another point for Aces in the meantime as he goes up to P8. But this man, you can't fault him from today. MCL, from the race anyway. MCL wins the Austrian Grand Prix in APPF1 Tier 2. Krauser is going to finish a very, very strong P2. Lawrence in P3 for the defending champion. It's a great drive from him, a win in the sprint race and P3 in the main race. Good stuff from him. RJ finishes in P4, redemption for the sprint, but he's still going to be disappointed to not at least be in the fight for the podium today. Jack Alacco is going to finish a good P5, decent recovery from the Scottish driver. I don't think he's going to still be the championship leader, but he gave it a good shot. Lappa Kovacs starting P13, finishes P6 after a bit of a struggle this race it was for him, but still manages to get a top 6 finish. Alex G in P7 after a bit of a topsy-turvy race for the Ukrainian. Aces, the gamble did not pay off at all, but he still managed to finish in P8 today. And then Lucas Rowe, after getting the unluckiest puncture I've ever seen, after only 21 laps on the Inters, he must have absolutely torn them to shreds, but he's going to finish in P9 from today. A really tough race out there, very, very tough in those conditions. for the Tier 2 drivers. RJ gets driver of the day from the game. I think my driver of the day has to be Krauser, without a doubt, from today. Brilliant, brilliant drive from him. But Lawrence, an honourable mention as well. Great performance from him too. But it's MCL who takes the win. And I believe he will take the championship lead as well from today, as he takes the trophy and holds it high. So, let's have a look at the race results. MCL wins the Austrian Grand Prix in 46 minutes and 52 seconds after a very, very tough conditioned race. Not really any changes to the conditions. It looked pretty much the same throughout, just a similar light rain. But he takes a very strong win. Krauser in P2 with Lawrence in P3. RJ and Jacko make up the rest of the top 5. Good recoveries from both of them. Lupper finishes P6 after a difficult race. Alex down in P7. Aces with the fastest lap finishes P8 in the end after his failed gamble. Lucas and Robsu the rest of the finishers. And then Sumo, Rafferrari, JB and Mr. J-Man all retiring from this race, unfortunately for them. Yeah, you didn't hear 5. 4 retirements in the end. But a decent race from the spectator point of view as well today, in spite of the chaos at the start. For some reason, we're going again. I don't know why. I don't know why everyone's readied up. But I'm going to invite the top 3 in for interviews. MCL is in, just waiting for Krauser and Lawrence. Lawrence is in, and Krauser is in, so that is everyone. So we'll come to MCL first of all. A pretty dominant win in the end, but it didn't go all your own way today. P2 in the sprint as well, but still, you must be pretty happy. Yeah, we won't talk about aces, but yeah, still a great race for Haas as well, and I think that'll be the championship lead for you, but of course still very early days. Was were there any other challenges from today? Because I saw the problems early on after, was it before or after the safety car? I'm not sure, but you were off the road at turn one. What happened there? Ah, right. Well, fair enough. But still, a great performance from you today, and congrats on your win. So moving on to our P2 finisher, Krauser. It's been a while since you've been here, but it's good to talk to you again. Yeah, it was looked like a really good performance out there as well for you. Did it feel the same in the cockpit? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw back in season 8 what you can do when you have a good season. You can fight for titles. So it's good to see you back on the podium. Um, uh, did you have some good battles in the pack? Because obviously, like you said, you had to make your way through. I saw a couple of good overtakes from you. So was it a lot of fun out there today? Ah, right. Absolutely. Well, congratulations. It's great to have you back, and hopefully we'll see you a few more times this season. No problem at all. Well, we move on to our P3 finisher, the defending champion of Tier 2, Lawrence, and our sprint race winner as well. So talk us through today, Lawrence, because it was a bit up and down for you, this one. Yeah, it was a brilliant performance in the sprint and great decision at the end to come in there. With regard to the main race, obviously started from pole and the pace was good at the beginning, but it seemed like you just didn't have enough to keep up with the Hasses today. Yeah. Well, still got a podium and a sprint win to show for it, so not too bad a result out there, especially considering the little bit of disappointment from Imola that you would have had. So good to see you back, and good luck for Singapore, Lawrence. Yeah, it's no problem at all, guys. It is my pleasure. So thank you all for watching as well in the audience. And for joining me today in Tier 2 Austria. A bit of a chaotic race to start with, but mellowed out towards the end, and we had some really good racing to show for it. So hope you all enjoyed. Well, in the meantime, I'm going to sign out. So thank you all very much for watching. I've been Ghost, and we'll see you next week for more Tier 2 in Singapore. Goodbye.